Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about human skeleton system. So, we know that human skeleton system is basically the bones which are functioning as protecting our inner organs. It can be brain, heart, lungs and different kind of organs. It can store some fats inside of it, and if it's needed it can release that fat. It can produce our blood like white blood cell, red blood cell and platelets, and it can store some minerals inside of it like calcium. If it's necessary it can release it outside, and it can help us for movement, and also it can support our body. And mainly our skeleton system is consist of bones, joints, cartilage and ligaments that we are going to talk about each of them. So firstly, I want to start with the bones. What are bones and what do they do? So bones are that structures, that hard and strong structures, which is made up of protein called collagen and some minerals called calcium phosphate. And this calcium phosphate is something which is making that bone so much hard and strong. Bone also can store calcium and release to different parts of our body if it's needed. And vitamin D is a kind of vitamin which is helping bones to store calcium inside of it. And also bones are giving us a particular shape. Every part of our body which got bone, that part got a particular shape. For example, our face or hands and foot and different kind of structures that we got. And also the other function of bone is to protect our inner organs. For example, skull is protecting our brain, rib cage or rib bones are protecting our lungs, hearts and liver, and also the hip bone or pelvis is protecting our bladder, and in females can protect the reproductive structures as well. And also bones are so much light, but they are so much strong. They can carry out entire our weight. They can support entire our weight. Doesn't matter if we are slim or fat. So this entire weight can be carried by the bones that we got. Bones are made up of two type of tissues. Two type of tissues are making the bone, like compact bone and cancellous bone. The compact bone is the hard outer cover of the bone, which is usually got some nerves and blood vessels all around it. And the second part, which is cancellous bone, is that sponge like bone, which is a mesh like network of tiny pieces, and bone marrow is located inside of it. And this cancellous bone is responsible for the making blood, which is the red blood cell carrying the oxygen all around our body, which is the white blood cell which is supporting our immune system, and platelets which is helping us to coagulate our blood. So there are some structures which are joining bone with each other. For example, the ligaments, which are the long fibrous straps which are joining two bones, and also cartilage, which are reducing the friction, and also tendons, which are joining bone with the muscles. There are basically four type of bone, like long bones, short bones, flat bones and irregular bones. So if we start from the long bone, we can say typically it's longer and it got two parts for joining. Two parts by two ending they can join to other bones, as it is in femur, as you can see with hip, and other part of the leg bone it can join. And also about their cell type, we can say that mostly it is made up of compact bones. About short bone, we can say most of that bone is spongy bone, and this is like cube-like bones like carpals and tarsals. And flat bones, they are flat and usually curved, like we have in our sternum, ribs and in our head, for example. And they are a thin layer of compact bone around a layer of spongy bone. Regular bones are our, for example, backbone structure or hip bone structure. They are completely different according to their structure from the other three bones. How do bones grow? So basically in children there are a part of there are some parts in their bones which is helping them to grow. For example, this part, which is the growth plate, which is actually the cartilage part, which can grow in length and become an adult skeleton or an adult bone. And we know that after an age, the length of bones are not growing, but can renew and reshape their internal living tissues. That's why according to that process, we can say that there are three type of cells for the bone, which is osteoblast, osteocyte, and osteoclast. The osteoclast structure is functioning for breaking down the bone tissue in order to reshape it. And the osteoblast are cells which are producing or synthesizing bone. It means if the bone is damaged, they can repair the damage. And osteocytes are actually that the osteoblasts which are mixed to the matrix of the bone. Bones are so much important, but sometimes we can face with some bone fractures, and bone fractures are actually a crack in the bone, and it can have different shapes and different kinds. For example, as you can see, in different parts of bone can break, get a fracture. And the symptoms by which we can recognize or we can understand the fracture is like pain and tenderness at the joint, visible deformation, warmth and swelling near a joint or end of a bone, difficulty moving, difficulty putting weight on the joint area. And there are some tips which can help us to heal the broken bone or the fracture of the bone, which is stop smoking, eat balanced diet, for example using so much calcium, and that's why we have to use the milk products. And we have to talk with our doctor and do whatever the doctor says.